Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be reviewing the two big matches which took place over the weekend. Arsenal running away 2-0 winners over Brighton and are now top of the EPL table. And Liverpool, stalemate versus Manchester United, a shock result for many. But joining me this evening to discuss and dissect these two matches and talk some football in general, we have returning to the podcast, Christophe.
Good to be back again, viewers.
Yes, indeed, Christophe. Another round of matches are now completed, and lots of twists and turns. Leaders at the top of the table now, Arsenal back to you could say where they belong. But let's jump into that match, Christoph. Arsenal versus Brighton. Arsenal running away comfortable winners over Brighton. How did you see that game?
Comfortable 2-0 is I mean it was a late goal from Kai Havertz. I don't know if it was comfortable. Arsenal played well. Overall played well. There were a lot of they had lots of shots. They managed to stop Brighton from shooting on goal, which has been Arsenal's strength so far this season. They have faced the least amount of shots in the Premier League this season and have currently the best defensive record in the league. Um their strength today, or not today, Sunday, seemed to have come from Declan Rice breaking up the play, as well as a very good game, I believe, from Zinchenko. I've given him a bit of a hard time over the weeks about his defensive output. He was defensively sound. I saw him playing well, getting into tackles, winning back possession. Um, Martin Odegaard almost scored a very spectacular goal. But I do feel Arsenal were wasteful having, 9 shots on target, only scoring two. Not to say that, every shot on target must score, but they did find themselves with a number of golden opportunities. And against tougher opposition, those chances need to be taken. And especially against teams who probably play with a low block and you're only going to get a one goal, you need to take those chances. Um, the front three, they looked well, they played well. I'll give them like high match rating, but you need to score those chances. That is what they need to work on. Currently, they're not getting as many goals as they should. Praise for Kai Havertz playing well, looks confident, more confident than at the start. At the start of the season, he didn't look confident. Didn't look like he knew what he was doing. Right now, he looks confident. He looks aggressive. He's getting in players' faces. He's making proper runs. He's willing to receive the ball. So that is a good turnaround for him. And we'll see. It was I think it might be a case where teams have kind of found out Brighton's style of play and are countering them, and they might need to go back to the drawing board and make some adjustments in order to get back to that level that we saw from them early last season.
Yes, definitely. Brighton started the season well, but their defensive record, I believe that is where their Achilles heel lie. Usually they manage to score against teams, but can't seem to keep the ball out of the back of their net. And for me personally, I think it is the constant rotation by De Zerbi. Players are unable to really settle into a rhythm, you're pretty much guessing their starting 11 week out or week in, week out, even though players may be fit, he constantly rotate his team. And I think, establishing some sort of stability and some sort of defensive base is very difficult under those circumstances. And we are seeing that playing out right now, Brighton constantly conceding goals. There's a constant rotation even in the goalkeeper position. Constant rotation between Steele and I can't remember the other goalkeeper name right now, but it's that to me may be the issue with Brian. I just think De Zerbi need to settle on his best 11 this point in time, build a foundation. Of course, you're gonna have a player maybe out injured, or a player may need rest here or there. But the constant changing of players, I think it's doing more harm than good at this point in time. And definitely, Brighton season thus far have become a disappointing one. I can only hope that they can elevate themselves, start picking up some points, and trying to get back in those European position as they did last season. But definitely credit must goes to Arsenal. Another good performance, I would say, keeping another clean sheet and taking enough of their chances when it came around and getting another 3 points under their belt, leading the league now with the draw, with Liverpool and Man United. And of course, Man City also drawing. So again, it goes to show what a little pressure at the top of the league can really do. And right now, if Arsenal or Liverpool can't lift the title at the end of this season, then I don't think they deserve it. I mean, this is probably the poorest we've seen Man City in a long, long time. So if Liverpool or Arsenal can't take advantage of, this run of poor form by City, then I don't think they deserve the title, Christoph. What say you?
I agree, and I did say it some weeks ago that I think Arsenal are in this season a better chance than last season just because of how poor City has been, especially with De Bruyne injured, and every time, let's say, Rodri gets injured or suspended, they do seem to drop points. So it is a case where both Arsenal and Liverpool are in with a very good chance of winning the league this season, unless they make it slip from them inconsistencies and potential major
Yeah, or
injuries to key
even
players.
even that sleeper team. And right now we see a sleeper team right there in the form of Aston Villa. I mean, let's not forget Aston Villa, creeping up, so to speak, one of the less fancy teams to take the title, but they're right up there among the big boys, to be honest. I mean, they are only separated from second by goal difference with Liverpool. They are on the same number of points as Liverpool, but they are not being given much media attention, Christoph. And I think this is a very good Aston Villa team. And the sort of momentum and the sort of confidence which is being built up in this team, this point in time, you can't really rule them out, can you?
At this point in time, you can't rule them out. No, definitely not. They're doing well. I think the media is just kind of ruling them out, are not paying them much attention because of what we said previously, that they probably do not have the staying power to keep up with Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City long term. They could potentially sneak and get a top four spot. Somebody drops off at the end, but I don't think. I mean, it is possible that they could win, but I don't think they're going to win the league.
Yeah, I mean, no one fancied Leicester either when, Leicester lifted the title during their time in the EPL.
I
And,
mean,
it was a similar take from many of the bigger media houses. Not much attention being paid to Leicester until finally they took the lead and just kept winning week in, week out, while other teams kept slipping.
Leicester did take the lead in the season pretty early, and once they grabbed that lead, they did not let it go for the entire season. Once
Indeed.
they went into Christmas league leaders, they went into the New Year league leaders, and once they got there, they just kept winning. Momentum carried them all the way to the
Yeah,
title,
definitely. Momentum carried them through.
right? So I mean, and they did have some gems in their team that season. They had the likes of N'Golo Kante, Riyad Mahrez, and Jamie Vardy was having a stunner season.
Yeah, but the same could be said of Aston Villa, Christoph. Watkins is like the Vardy of the team right now. Douglas Luiz, you could say, is the Kante, and you have players like Liam Bailey who could easily be the Mahrez. I mean, the last statistics I saw, Liam Bailey had what, 5 goals and 5 assists among the
Five
top
go-
uh
uh, the
attacking
top
contributions
the
in the
top
league.
four
So
contributors, yes.
yeah, Leon, welcome, Leon joining us late, but I mean, you've jumped into the middle of a good discussion right here, Leon. I mean, we're saying Arsenal leading the league, but can we really write Aston Villa off, Leon?
Um, I wouldn't say writing Aston Villa off would be a safe bet. As you said, Leicester did the impossible, so it is possible. And uh, Aston Villa is looking great, and they don't have to worry about some of those. I think their squad is deep enough, as you said. They have Douglas Luiz, they have Telemans that's in. there about Diaby's back. Leon Bailey, as you said, is finding is in a good form. And as I said, I think they can do it. They have a very experienced manager too that has been
Yeah,
in the big
let's not forget that
competitions
as
and
well.
that has been in the big competition and has big results against big teams. So it's all about his experience and how he can put this forward with this team. And as we are seeing, they are in a lovely place right now, and not much attention, as you said, has been placed
Not,
into them.
not,
Most,
not much attention.
yeah,
And I
most.
feel the experience of the manager, as you mentioned, Leon, a lot of persons are not giving much credit to them. This is an experienced manager, not only in league conditions, but also in European conditions as well.
I,
And,
I,
it might be to your detriment to really take this Aston Villa team lightly.
I mean, I think it's probably his. I would say not really failure, but his campaign as the Arsenal manager. Most people, I would say, have written him off from then. But as we said, it was anybody that came after Wenger was going to be in a tough position, and I think he did fairly well. I think he did fairly well at Arsenal. Then he went to Villarreal, I think, and did awesome there. And now he's at Aston Villa. And as you said, his experience is very key to this. And my point about the attention is like there are other big teams like the Arsenal, the Liverpool that is just drawing this attention away. And as we see, Aston Villa can go to the big sides and get a result as they've been doing all season. So I think it's very interesting for Aston Villa, and I think they should just keep doing what they're doing. They're not drawing much attention, and they should just take these games one by one. Don't look too far ahead, and just put their best foot forward because it's enough at this point. Get them up
Yeah,
there.
I mean, definitely. I mean, playing some good football for sure. And as you know, as we've been saying, good manager, good crop of players. Once players can stay fairly healthy, the manager doing his thing, and with momentum on their side, I mean, anything is really possible. But for me, I'm seeing a vulnerable City. And Christoph, you had mentioned Kevin De Bruyne being out. Just since today, I saw some photos and videos circulating
Back.
of him training. So possibly after the winter break, we may very well see him suiting up for Man City. And I mean, that will definitely add a bit more impetus to their attack and their overall football in general. So my advice to Arsenal and Liverpool is to try to open up a gap. I mean, City is now after the Club World Cup, so I think they'll be missing possibly the next two games, if memory serves me correct. So this is an opportunity for both Liverpool and Arsenal, who ironically face each other next, Christoph. I mean, Christoph, a early preview into that one. Just a quick word on that. We'll be dissecting it later in the week, but Arsenal Liverpool first versus second. How you see that one going?
I'm expecting a very tight game, to be honest. I'll expect that both teams will try to feel each other out, try to block. I think Arsenal will try to block the midfield, given that Klopp is now employed. Well, started late last season, but he's now employing inverted wing back in Trent Alexander. So I'm expecting Arsenal to try and deploy a similar tactic to what they used against City and clog up that midfield. But for Liverpool, not just the midfield, I think the danger comes specifically from the wing, from Salah. Salah might not get a lot of opportunities during the game, but Salah's finishing is quite excellent. And with let's say, the poor handling of the ball by David Raya, it's possible that Liverpool might get some easier than normal goals, is what I would say. David Raya is excellent with the ball at his feet, but he seems to have an issue with his shot stopping and catching. So that might be something Liverpool might look to exploit. Sending in crosses to the edge of that 6 yard box seems to be something that Arsenal is not able to defend properly at the moment.
Ah,
As for Arsenal, they will want to look to attack the Liverpool defense with pace. Attack very centrally. There, I don't believe there's a big. This, I mean, the space is out wide, but the weakness for Liverpool is at the center of defense. So we'll have to see. Arsenal will create chances. The problem is, will they capitalize on these chances with the poor finishing that we've seen from maybe Jesus and Eniketia? we know that they do have the ability to score these, splendid goals, but the consistency from them is currently lacking.
Yes, indeed. I mean, this is definitely a big game, viewers and subscribers, that, I will definitely be looking forward to. And as I mentioned, later in the week, we'll be breaking it down into a bit more detail. So definitely stay tuned to us for that later in the week. But Leon, Liverpool versus Manchester United. Shock result for many. Many were expecting Liverpool to take Man United apart. Did you see that game, Leon?
I mean, I think, as I said in the preview, I think Manchester United went about it just exactly what I said. There's no way that a Manchester United that's not in any sort of form whatsoever after that 3-0 demolition from Bournemouth was going to go at Liverpool and play on the front foot. I
But
think their
nil
best
nil,
chance.
Leon. I mean, who would have guessed that scoreline? Nil nil. I mean, no team scoring. And I would say very few clear-cut opportunities for either team also.
I mean,
That is to me what shocked me the most.
I knew Manchester United wasn't going to score. I just didn't know that Liverpool was. But as I said, that was the only tactic I saw that we could get a result from. Just compact, defend and just hope to catch Liverpool on the break. And I think we got about two chances in that game. So I think it went, like tactically, it went exactly as I expected. I did predict a Liverpool win, but, we get a point from Anfield. And I think Virgil van Dijk came out and said that only one team wanted to win. I didn't know what he expected from this Manchester United side to come to Anfield and trade blow for blow. Because if you recall, I think last year we were in a much better form per se, right? Going to Anfield, we got we got a 7-0 there. So I don't think if Van Dijk expected Manchester United to come and play on the front foot there.
Yeah, I think that statement is just out of frustration, to be honest. I mean, eh, this should have been an expected sort of tactic from a Manchester United. As you said, all the signs were pointing towards Man U coming and pretty much locking shop. I mean, not much attacking impetus. I mean, you were not expecting a team to be going gung ho and, as you say, end to end sort of football. So I think that is just born out of frustration. To be honest, this was an opportunity for Liverpool to really stamp their class on Manchester United and show the league that they mean business, but it was not to be. But Christophe, how did you see this one?
Sitting and watching that game when it started, I thought Liverpool would have won maybe 2-0. Uh it but then you look at the lineup that Manchester United had, you could see where they either they had their attacking players on the bench or they're all out injured currently. Because we saw Scott McTominay starting in their attacking midfield role. So they were just clogging up that midfield for that match. I think also Manchester got a boost given that Varane was back from injury. So they had, many would say, a better quality defender starting and
Is it
Marshall in
in
the defense.
is it
Was back
injured though, Christophe, or was it just
was back
non-selection by Ten Hag? I mean, from
Uh,
what I've been hearing, it has
eh,
just been a case where Varane has been,
the
but just
official
wasn't
statement from the
being
club.
being played by Ten Hag.
I mean,
he was back from the gulag.
it's very possible that that is the case, right? But the official statement from the club is that he has returned from injury.
Mm.
Never, man. I think with
Well, I
Varane, I
mean,
think
he picked up man of the match in this game as well, if memory serves me correctly.
yeah, I think with Varane, I think he and Ten Hag had some kind of a rift or something.
So
But
he
of course, that's
apologized then, Leon. It's fair to say he apologized, unlike
no, no.
Sancho.
I don't. I know. I think the difference between Varane and Sancho here is that Varane deal with it in house. I don't think any
Mm.
apology was needed because really and truly, if you want the money, if Sancho didn't come out publicly against Ten Hag, you would have been in the side, and as Ten Hag shown you, there's always a way back in his starting lineup because even with Ronaldo, when Ronaldo walked off against Spurs, he was captain for the next match. So even though he gets into it with his players, in Ten Hag's credit, he doesn't hold a grudge, I would say. And with Varane, I just think that Maguire was injured, Lindelof is injured, so the only two fit centre back we had was Evans and Varane. So he was
I
back from the gulag,
I think he was forced into choosing Varane.
definitely.
I don't know about I don't necessarily know there's a way back or anything. I think he was simply forced into the selection.
Would be.
Yeah, I mean, injuries. I mean, the only other option would have been possibly to play Luke Shaw there, as he have been doing in previous games, and find someone to play left back. So or play Gallo at left back. I mean, even Gallo, most of his game time this year for Manchester United have been at left back. So it was a all hands on deck sort of situation. It seemed as if the bus was parked,
Yeah.
especially in that first half. And, even the handbrake pulled up and there was no way through for Liverpool, try as they may. But I mean, even from a Liverpool point of view, I thought at times the play was a bit rushed. They got into good positions, but then that final ball is what eluded them on a number of occasions. We saw where players took on shot when maybe a teammate was in a better position. So that is definitely something, a bit of anxiety. I felt, the Liverpool team could have been a bit more settled, a bit more composed when they got into these sort of good positions. But it was not to be. And I mean, at the end of the day, they didn't lose the game. Not a point, but I'm sure they would have left this one the more disappointed of the two teams, and possibly Manchester United would have taken some bit of confidence to say they would have gone to Anfield, left to the point, having not conceded a goal as well, Leon.
Yeah, I mean, you're correct. I think it is a win for Manchester United. I think if you ask anybody before the result, if there was a nil-nil draw, if they would take it, and they would probably bite their hands off. I think it's a good confidence booster, and I think Ten Hag can take a lot from that match in terms of compactness and even Rafael Varane performance, because as I said, that's one criticism I had of him during the season, is that sometimes you're overcomplicating it by not saying that this defender can create angles on the left side because he's not left-footed, when simply put, just start your best players. Really, and I think Varane put in a monstrous performance, and I think Manchester United have been playing a bit too open for me this season, especially if they don't have great ball handlers in the side. And I think you should take this compactness and the performance of Rafael Varane and probably as a confidence booster, and just try build some momentum from here on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, we even saw Rashford not getting the start again. I mean, I don't
I
Deserved,
know. I
mean,
don't
I
know.
mean,
deserved,
let's
deserved,
be honest. Rashford's form has been horrendous all season.
deserved.
So him not playing is not surprising.
The
Yeah,
thing with
not surprising for the last couple of games, definitely, but a player of a Rashford's quality and on the sort of wages and so-called big name, I mean, you would have expected a player like Rashford to be
the,
one of the first names on the team sheet. I mean, we saw McTominay leading the side out, Leon in the absence
And
of Bruno, captain. Who would have
captain,
thought?
and he
I
was
mean,
on the selling list last summer. I think with Rashford, I think even Rashford has this ability where he shows up for one season, the following season he doesn't show up. And even if you're not in a good vein of form, Rafa, you should revert to the basics, hard work, hard thing. But the thing with Rashford is not putting in the hard yards. Even in the Newcastle match, I saw he lost the ball and the wing back took the ball from him and Rashford just stopped and walked. The thing with Garnacho is, even though he's young and even though he's unpolished at times, the one thing you're gonna get from him, and even Anthony, is work ethic. You know, so even when things aren't going for you, I think the work ethic should be the base of your performance. And with Rashford, it's either going well or it's not going at all. And I think his benching is deserved, to be honest.
I think Rashford's form is based on that contract that he has. Yeah, you're getting £350,000 a week, regardless of whether you play good or not. So
Yeah,
Psychological
deserved.
effect then,
it
Christoph.
it, it might be. I mean, but this is not new behavior from Rashford. Even when Rashford is at his best, we do not see Rashford tracking back and tackling and these things. So it's not new. It's just that he is not scoring now, so it looks much worse.
Mm.
And let's be
Yeah,
honest.
interesting perspective there, definitely.
Let's be honest. If Rashford was not English, nobody would think Rashford is a big player.
You raise a very good point there. I mean, it could be that English tax, where the England players are
You-
given a bit
G-
Special
more, what should I say,
leeway when it comes to
so,
leeway slash media hype and attention, so to
right.
speak. So,
If
yeah.
if Rashford was not English, nobody would be talking about Rashford as if he's some top player.
Mm. Interesting point there. But I mean, Jens, how did you see the other matches? I mean, in and around the league, Aston Villa continue to win 2-1 away from home, seem like their away form maybe picking up, and that spell danger for the rest of the league, I must say. But I mean, other results, how did you see it?
That game in particular, I was watching that one as well. I found it. I was very impressed by Brentford. I actually thought they were going on to win that game, but Aston Villa did dig deep and get that win.
Yeah, and I believe two players were sent off in that one as well. That may have assisted Aston Villa. Brentford got a dismissal, you could say around midway the second half, while Aston Villa got their dismissal almost in, the
Stoppage
last minute
97.
stoppage time, really. So by then the game would have been won. And, the train continues to roll on for Aston Villa, and it seemed to be picking up steam. Not only are they solidifying themselves at home, but now we're seeing where they could not buy a win away from home. They are now picking up all 3 points. And, it's all upward move and upward momentum for Aston Villa, and the Jamaican Leon Bailey again
fine
assisting in
form.
that one, making some valuable offensive contributions there, Leon. I mean, Leon Bailey has been criticized for a good while now. Is he now shaking that aura of criticism? Is he now fulfilling that true potential?
I mean, based on his form, I would say that the potential is definitely there. And I think if he continues this form throughout the season, I think most of the criticism would die down. And I think talking about Aston Villa, I think Aston Villa is at a sweet spot right now their form, in terms of their form and name, meaning most teams won't see Aston Villa as that big side, so they won't come to them and say 10 man behind the ball. They'll come to Aston Villa and win. So Aston Villa
Right,
don't
right,
necessarily have
definitely. To
don't
go
doesn't
up
nec-
against a low block
a low
defense
block.
week in, week out, as do
We
Liverpool or Arsenal or Man City.
negative. You understand? So even playing against these big clubs are not going to come to Aston Villa with a low block either. And the way that Aston Villa plays, they play with a lot of power and pace. The Leon Bailey, the Diaby, and the Watkins rapid behind that. So I think they're at the sweet spot right now where most teams are gonna come to them to get the 3 points, whether they're on a top
And
table
then
team or a
possibly they
low,
get picked off in the
and
process.
they get picked off one by one. So I think they're at a sweet spot. And even coming from behind, as I said, even though there's a red card, it shows a lot of mental steel. And as I said, the coach, a lot of um a lot of experiences around the league, even because even he had a couple seasons at Arsenal. And I think another important thing from this weekend is the Everton, even though they have been deducted points, they seem to be fighting this relegation. And Sean Dyche, none of Sean Dyche's team are easy to play against, and we're seeing that this is Everton side for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Everton have been very impressive, I must say. Deitch is one of the highly rated coaches for me personally. I watch him very closely, and I would say he's an excellent manager. Not only the job he's doing at Everton now, but ever since he got his Burnley team into the league. And I must say, Everton very impressive run right now, and they have a big match coming up, which likely we will be taking a look at in the next preview. Spurs versus Everton. That should be another mouth-watering affair, Leon. And that one may be very hard to call, but Everton really boosted with some wins, and the confidence must be growing in that squad as they climb further and further away from relegation. Definitely a great result over the weekend versus his former team away from home as well, Leon. So let not, that can't be forgotten in the process that he was playing against his former team, Burnley, where
Yeah.
he pretty much made his name as a manager in the English Premier League, which, I mean, it is his record at Burnley, which landed him the job at Everton.
And I think with Everton and Sean Dyche. I think the atmosphere that the Everton's fans created, it fits perfectly into Sean Dyche's football, don't you think? I think their rugged nature and their expression and
Yeah,
their, I
plus
think
it's
it
the
fits.
workman-like
Yeah.
mentality as well. That is one thing Everton fans you're gonna work your socks off. And that is pretty much the characteristic of any Sean Dyche team. Whether the team is playing well, whether they're losing, whether they're winning, one thing you can expect is hard running, hard working, that never give up sort of approach, as well as a physical approach as well. He is probably one of the few managers which plays with a true number nine up front, that old-time English type of ball game, so to speak, the Sam Allardyce type of ball game, where you have your point man up front here in the likes of Calvert Lewin, and then you may have a towering attacking central attacking midfielder. Here we have a Decore, so this team is really taking on the shape and characteristic of what the manager wants it to be. And right now, it seems as if the sky is the limit for this Everton team with a bit more investment in January. Who to tell, they may very well finish in the top half of the league. But any final words from you, Christoph, before we wrap things up?
Not really. Just looking forward to these weekends fixtures. Friday, a lot of big match playing, so we can't wait to see those and see the results. Hopefully, Arsenal comes out on top. Liverpool lose. Chelsea, not Chelsea. Chelsea's not a threat. Man City lose, and
Well, Man
maybe
City won't
Aston
be in
Villa.
action. Man City is away to the Club World Cup, so they will be
Oh,
out of
okay. Yeah,
action for
they'll
the
be missing
last next two
those next
game
two
weeks, if
weeks.
memory serves me right. So the big match for sure, Liverpool versus Arsenal, and then the other mouth-watering fixture I would say is Everton versus Spurs. So the game's definitely coming thick and fast, and viewers and subscribers will definitely be here to preview those games. But Leon, any final thoughts from you before we wrap things up?
I would just say that this opportunity of City not being here for the next 2 weeks is very good. It's a very good chance for Arsenal and Liverpool to rack up some points to put City in some under some sort of pressure because of their form of late. So they should really take this opportunity and get those 6 points. Well, one of them will have to drop points this week. They should get those six
Or
points,
both.
as much points as possible to put Man City under some pressure. And we saw that Kevin De Bruyne is back, so let's see what type of form this Man City team will be in when they come back from the Club World Cup.
Yes, Leon, I definitely agree with you in that regard, that this is the prime opportunity to put some pressure on City to really put them in a hole, for them to climb out of. And oftentimes, when you look at the table and you see there's a 6 point, 7 point, 9 point gap at the top of the league, even though you yourself may have some games in hand, that pressure builds, that pressure really builds. And of course, the mainstream media is going to spawn some sort of narrative which possibly put you under even more immense pressure. So this is the prime opportunity for Liverpool and Arsenal to really pay their claim for the title. And as I said, ironically, they face each other next. So this may very well be in favor of City. Ideally, City will probably want this game to draw, where both teams will drop points and that gap remains very slender. But definitely looking forward to another round of EPL action coming up uh, into the week and also going ahead onto the weekend. Viewers and subscribers, thank you again for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Again, continue to share the podcast, and if you haven't subscribed as yet, hit that subscription bell. But we'll be back maybe around Wednesday, the games start, and we'll be here to bring you some more football news, some more football action, and we'll be here to break it down and dissect it. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.